Welcome to Inspire and Move, the show that inspires you to create, connect, and grow. I'm going to bring you meaningful conversations, aha moments, and all the motivation you need to up-level every part of your life. I'm Ali Aruda, founder of Inspire and Move, and your personal hype girl. I've gone from fashion school to celebrity stylist to corporate marketing to brick and mortar entrepreneurship with my husband, each time learning incredible lessons how to pivot, reimagine, and implement the steps to become successful. I am passionate about inspiring others to live their best life, a life of joy. We have the power to design a life that we love because life is too short not to. The best part is that you weren't meant to do this alone. If you feel like you were meant for more, let me ride shotgun with you, and together, let's get you to where you want to go. Hey guys, welcome back to the Inspire and Move podcast. It is time for part 2 of my interview with Chris Harder. If you've already enjoyed part 1, thank you for being there. I hope you loved it. But now it is time for part 2, and we actually go a little bit deeper on some really great topics, something that we do share in common, and I'm really excited for you to listen to all that he has to say. I know I said this in my first episode with him, but he just constantly shares so much value and insights and knowledge, and he's such a joy to be around and to speak with. So I hope you really enjoy part 2. Here we go.
I love that. And I love that part about your story, the two parts, how you and Matt met. But I also love the story of where this came from. And maybe my mindset hearing it, I hear the why.
Yeah.
The why behind Frello was that DM.
Yeah.
You helped this guy get out of a jam with his truck, and look where that has taken you.
Yep.
I always feel so proud when I share that story with others when they ask about, what is Frello and what's Chris doing? So I'd love to even, just kind of put some spotlight on the idea of investing.
Yeah.
Because it's new for me.
Yep.
And the first company I invested in was Lori.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, not the company Lori, but
Yeah.
Glossy.
A light pink became glossy.
Yes.
Yep.
And that was a full body yes for me, even though I was like, not really sure what this whole investing thing is,
Yeah.
but I'm in. And I feel like I have heard you speak to this of how you really invest in the founder.
Yes. Yes. It's always founder first. Matter of fact, Lori and I invest in 5 startups every single year like clockwork. But we have 4 very specific criteria that must be met for us to make that investment. And criteria number 1 is the founder. They must be a proven winner. Everything they touch, for the most part, should have turned to gold in the past. They should be that person that just always finds a way. And I think light pink turning into glossy is a great example of that. Lori thought she was going to be releasing this spiked seltzer and also non-alcoholic seltzer called light pink, and hit hurdle after hurdle, challenge after challenge. The pandemic didn't help. The candemic didn't help. If people are, what's a candemic? There was no cans available. So everything worked against her. And at some point, once again, her network, a friend of hers, actually a stranger who became a dear friend of ours, said, Lori, you got to pivot. Like, I understand the alcohol space better than anybody else. Matter of fact, she was with Casamigos from prior to inception all the way to exit, right? George and Randy personally recruited her. Shout out to Tara. And she said, trust me, I know this industry inside and out. You need to pivot or you're screwed. And Lori having the wherewithal and the community and the guts and the courage to make that pivot before it was too late is why Glossy's going great and is going to be off to the races. That's an example of why it's founder first. Other founders would have gone down with the ship. Other founders would have said, but this is my idea. I'm going to somehow see it through. Other founders would have had ego involved. Other founders would have said, well, I'm too embarrassed to say this didn't work out and to go to my investors and say, hey, we're pivoting to something that you didn't sign up for. But the right founders will always find a way to win. So that's why it's founder first. The second criteria is the idea itself. The product or the idea must be disruptive and easy to talk about, right? So virality can help it. But it can't be so radically new that you're inventing both a industry and a new company at the same time. Now, it happens. Like, based on this criteria I would have missed like the iPhone. I would have missed some of these other juggernauts. But for the most part, it's too difficult and too expensive and usually too early to be both the product and the new industry at the same time. So it must be in an already rising tide industry. will only make that investment, second set of criteria, if the product is easy to talk about, disruptive in an industry that has a rising tide, a lot of momentum already, because a rising tide lifts all ships. So that's the second criteria. The third criteria is then what is their path to an exit? And what I mean by that is when you invest in startups, you don't make any money until they have some form of an exit. They can do an IPO, right? Go public. They can have a Series A come in and clear the cap table. They can have an entire exit, sell the company to another company. But nothing happens for the investor until there's an exit. Well, this means two very important pieces of the path have to be there. One, their ability to raise enough capital and get their hands on enough money until they get to the exit, because it's always going to be twice as expensive and twice as long as they think, always. And some people they don't have access to capital. They don't have access to the community to raise capital. They don't have the knowledge on how to do it, right? So then that's a big red flag, because great founder, great product, but no money is always the kiss of death for a company. A lot of great founders with great products simply run out of money and they don't know how to get more. And that's the end of that story. So that's the first part of criteria number 3 is they must always have access to liquidity for as long as it takes to get to an exit. Then the other part of that third criteria is you have to be able to look with certainty at who their suitors might be. Where are they going to exit to? Whom are they going to exit to? Are there certain companies that want this tech? Are there certain companies that want these customers? Are there certain companies that want, whatever it might be? For example, a lot of people don't know this, but when Gary Vee sold Empathy Wines, it wasn't the wine and it wasn't the number of customers that Constellation Brands bought. They wanted Gary. So they gave him at the time what was a massive deal, larger than what Empathy Wines would have warranted if you were just making a normal transaction, because the exit plan there was Gary knew all along that one of these larger brand houses like Constellation would probably see a lot of value in having some access to somebody like him. So you've got to know, why is someone going to acquire you and who might that somebody be? And if the founder can't answer that and can't accurately paint that picture, then that's your red flag. You got to stop right there. So that's the first 3 criteria. The fourth criteria for Lori and I is this: we must be able to move the needle in one shape or form. Otherwise, it's just gambling, right? If 1, 2, and 3 are there, but we can't make certain introductions, or our audience wouldn't love the product, or if we can't help it make money, then really we're just saying, okay, here's our investment and call us in 7 years. And that I'd rather have the ability to help increase my chances of winning by knowing that I've got a way to move the needle for a company. So here's a good example. One of the companies that we invested in, it's a nootropic snack foods company. I'm not going to say the name.
They're delicious.
They weren't getting off the ground the way they wanted to in their first year. And we were able to help, share the products with our audience. And our audience actually pales in comparison to the other investors that are in this company. But despite all the investors having a lot of audience, it still wasn't getting off the ground the way it should. And I thought, wait, I could make an introduction to the CEO of a large network marketing company that I have that wants similar products. And there might be some synergy there. So I make that introduction, and we end up striking a deal for a couple million units out of the gates, white labeled, so that not only can this company sell retail, but they can also sell through this network marketing company labeled as this network marketing company, and it's all their new products now. That was the turning point for this company. That is more than half of their revenue each year now for this company, is this new white label service. That's an example of criteria number 4 being very important, or this company may not have made it. So that's why we stick to all 4 of that criteria when it comes to investing in startups. Now, I do need to add this. Investing in startups is not where anyone should start. It is highly risky. The reason why Lori and I do 5 every single year is because 4 out of 5 are not going to make it, even following our criteria. But the 1 out of 5, when you're an early stage investor, is going to hit on such a level of multiples that it makes up for the other 4 that you missed on. But this is not the place that people should start.
I love that. And I love even, just the conversations we've enjoyed in the summer at the lake house, really talking about Frello and Glossy, that it's really exciting and probably, behind the scenes for, everybody that gets to consume your life online, that it's exciting. You're building
Yeah.
this company and this is amazing and who your network is. But there's got to be a lot of gritty and mucky stuff on the back end that people don't see.
Yeah.
But very exciting that you're both building these companies at the same time, kind of really gearing
I would have
up
never
for
chosen
launch.
that, by the way.
Yeah.
Never build 2 startups at the same time. That was just circumstance that it happened to be that way. There's one more thing I want to share too. The power of investing into a company is not just, am I going to make my money back? The power of investing into the right companies is you're now placing yourself on the cap table with other powerful investors. And that now becomes this kinship, if you will, this inner group, if you will, right? And it becomes relationships that you now see, they see you as a peer. And you have access to people that you wouldn't have collided with otherwise if you were not on that cap table. So a lot of my celebrity friends, a lot of the incredible human beings that I know, they've come from companies that I invested in and shared a cap table with, therefore ended up at dinners with or investor meetings with, etc. And you probably don't know this, but when Lori had her light pink investor dinner at our house in Scottsdale, and you flew out to that, the next morning, I wasn't there, but the next morning, I was like, how did it go? And did you meet anyone cool? And blah, blah, blah. And she was sharing the people, I met this person. And I don't know, was that the first time you met Lori?
Yep.
Okay. She had said to me, she goes, I met this really cool girl named Allie. She's incredible. Like, she stood out among everybody there. And I think there's something there. And that led to you being on our radar, to us doing other things, to you ending up at the lake house, to us being in businesses together, and even just sitting down, hanging out now. All because you put yourself into the metaphorical room, in this case, of being on the cap table. So maybe our paths would have collided another way, but it was you being an investor and standing out at that investor dinner that made us take note and be like, oh, these people are fucking dope. And now we've got great new friends out of it. So it's not always a monetary transaction. Sometimes it's your foot in the door to new friendships, new relationships, and other types of transactions.
You guys, pause it right there. You know that I am always talking about health, fitness, feeling your best. So I am always on the hunt for new products that help with glowing skin, travel, dehydration, bloating. And I have found one that is my newest obsession. It's called Glossy Skin and Gut Daily Beauty Supplement. It's a skin routine you can drink. Not only does it taste amazing, like a light, refreshing lemon spa water that I could drink all day, but it is making me feel so recharged and like I'm feeding my body and skin everything it needs to keep up with me, my busy days, and my goals. It has a clinically studied probiotic in it that survives the trip to your gut, so you know it's working, along with hyaluronic acid, which is incredible for the glowy, hydrated look for your skin. On top of that, it's loaded with skin-loving ingredients like zinc, magnesium, vitamin C, coconut water powder, minerals, electrolytes, and antioxidants. It's how I love to start my day. For real, this is a game changer, especially if you travel. If you want glowy skin and a happy gut, go grab your subscription because best results take 30 to 60 days at getglossy.com. That's GETGLOCI.com. Getglossy.com. And please enjoy and use coupon code INSPIRE. INSPIRE. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. Again, go to getglossy.com and grab your skin and gut supplement because great skin starts from within.
Thank you so much for sharing that. I'll
Yeah.
take that and receive that with a lot of love.
Yeah.
And that actually is a really interesting pivot point to a topic that I wanted to bring up together, but I think that has a powerful detail that's very relevant, that the timing of that dinner at your previous home that I walked into like nervous as hell was about 30 days to the T after losing my dad.
Yeah.
And it was a decision that I had already, wired the money. I was already an investor. So excited. And I just recently shared this with Lori, how my dad, up until probably weeks before he passed, would always ask, like, how's your investment going with Light Pink?
Yeah.
And I would lovingly try to explain, like, Dad, it's a startup.
Yep.
So I don't have an immediate answer for you, but you will be the first to know when everything goes big and she sells and all of that. And I just recently shared that with Lori. But, I've already made the investment. I've received the invite for this dinner. I've thought about going. I'm like 100% I'm going. This life trauma happens. And I debated back and forth, like, do I go? Do I not go? Is this irresponsible that I go? I'm supposed to be grieving, but I am going to have so much regret if I don't go. And I am so grateful that I made that decision to get on a plane and show up, because I am so grateful that that led me to the relationship that we now have
Yep.
with both
Yep.
of you. And, even yesterday at the dinner series, looking around the room and feeling like, oh my God, I remember when I first met some of these girls that
Yeah.
are now friends and we're so excited to see each other,
Yep.
is amazing. And what I wanted to kind of dive into is, something that you and I both share, that we've both lost our dads unexpectedly too soon. I think, even though you're male and female, like from father-son,
Yeah.
father-daughter relationships, we both had really
We're
close.
both very close to him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I feel like we have a very energetic match when we talk about the relationships with our dads.
Yeah.
I would love to know what it is that you sit with the most, like with the most amount of love and the impact that your dad had on you in your life. And also how that, losing him, I feel like I remember when I listened to your podcast when you shared that life experience. And I remember listening to me like, oh my God, I cannot believe he's like shown up and recording a podcast. Like, I can't imagine losing my dad. That's good for him. But then you've been on a fucking rocket ship ever since. So just sort of how this life trauma from losing someone that was so impactful in your life to where you are now.
There's two things I'd like to share about that. You asked, or you alluded to, what are some of the things that you got from this? Dad was one of the most positive people ever. Like, just woke up happy in the morning and couldn't wait to finish his coffee and be out there working on the dock or working on the boat or working on a car, whatever it was. And that's a trait that I picked up from him by observing, right? By being around it so much. Is I'm a naturally optimistic, naturally happy person, very much in part because of his influence on me. But when he passed, I had a belief confirmed for me, and that was this. My parents did their best to instill in us that it's family first, and you got to make those who are important to you a priority. And we picked up on those lessons. And so Lori and I spent years making sure that we would fly back to Wisconsin in the summers, even though we were too busy to do it, and spend a couple weeks back there visiting with mom and dad. We did our best to bring them out to California every single year for several months. We would rent an apartment about 5 blocks away, and they would stay there for 4 or 5 months every single year so that we could be in proximity and make some memories. We would do the bike rides in the morning when I'd rather be at the gym. We would do the Friday night fish fries when I was too tired from my work week. We would do all of the things that in the moment either felt inconvenient or in the moment felt like I was too tired for it or I didn't have time for it. But we'd make it a priority. Making memories was always a priority for us. Now, I didn't realize the value of that until Dad passed out of the blue. And when Dad passed, we quickly, it was COVID, so there's like no planes. This is the part of COVID when there was no, and he didn't die from COVID, but just timing was coincidence, right? There was no planes available, and we had to get back to mom right away. So we were in Big Bear, California. I chartered a private jet. From learning that Dad died to being on the jet was like 3 hours time. And in that 3 hours, I hadn't had the moment of it sinking in, like, dude, your dad died. Because it was the franticness of, I got to get back to mom, and I got to tell my brother, and there's the worst conversation of your life. Like, hey, Nick, here's what happened. And just getting everything arranged. So we get on the jet, and is the first moment that I had the awareness of what really happened, right? The first moment that it could actually sink in. And I remember it like it was yesterday. We're going down the runway and we're starting to take off. And I'm looking out the window. And my very first thoughts were this. When it sank in, I looked out the window and I said to myself, I am so glad that I didn't leave anything on the table. I am so glad that I didn't have any shoulda, coulda, wouldas, right? Should have gone back and visited, should have brought them out that winter, could have made more time, could have gone on that morning bike ride. Like literally, one of our last hangouts was a morning bike ride that I didn't want to go on a few days prior to this happening. So when I was taking off, looking out the window, my overwhelming feeling, you would have thought it would have been sadness. It was relief that I didn't have any shoulda, coulda, wouldas, that I didn't leave anything on the table. And I think that really helped me with my grieving process. The only wish I have is that it could have lasted longer. That got cut short. But boy, did we make making memories a priority. The time invested, the money invested, the energy invested to being a memory making machine in that very moment was confirmed for me that it is the best place that you can spend your resources, whatever those resources might be. And so now I've just taken that and like become a memory making machine on steroids, right? Like everything I've ever wanted to do, we're doing it now at this point. And it's given us an extraordinary life, way better than it was prior to dad passing away, because we're living life to its fullest. We're taking the trips, we're starting the companies, we're doing the things all at an accelerated rate because of two things. One, you're not promised tomorrow. And two, the confirmation of you better do it while you can.
I love that, and I that resonates a lot. Same emotion. When my dad passed, I had no regrets on anything. I just would have liked
Yep.
more of the
Yep.
time, more of the memories, laughs, photos. You can apply that more of to many things. And I talk a lot about rock bottom, and when you experience that rock bottom moment, you can honor that, chill there for a
Mhm.
minute. I wouldn't chill there for super long time, but yet the powerful component about being at the rock bottom is that there's only one direction to go,
Yep.
and
Up.
that's up.
Up.
And those traumas that are painful, I don't wish them on anybody, but how they can impact the person that we become, and what you learn from it, and how you apply those lessons to your life moving forward, like
Yeah.
being a super accelerated memory making machine.
Yeah. I mean, all of your traumas should, if you choose to leverage them in the right way, be an accelerant
Mm.
for how you want life to really be. Um, you know, whether it's dad passing away or whether it's telling Lori, hey, we've got to start from below zero. Any of those moments are always going to feel like absolute shit. But there is a way to make them the most valuable, some of the best moments of your life if you use them in the right way.
I love that. It's great advice. Okay, I have two closing questions for you. One of which, maybe I'll tell you both, because I feel like you are excellent at answering questions, and you might, find a beautiful way to bring them both together. Question number one: what are you the most excited about right now? Question number two is: what is on your joy list? Both you as an individual, like what's on Chris's joy list,
Yeah.
but then also I think there is space and magic for, a Chris and Lori joy list, like what
Yeah.
you guys enjoy together.
Let me start with excited about Frello, hands down. Building this thing is so much fun. It's different than anything I've ever built before. And the magnitude of it is so large that it just feels like a thrill all the time. And I've got the right team and the right people involved. So they've made it fun. Everyone's like, this is supposed to be tough. It's supposed to be a grind. So far, it's just been a clear runway with nothing but tailwinds. Um, and so that's what I'm most excited about right now. What's on our joy list? The simplest things in the world. Um, Taking our dog walks every single day. Our Friday nights in watching some kind of series on TV after a week that just exhausted you. There's something about an exhausted Friday night that feels
Mm.
good if you do it right. being up at the lake house in summers, like I'm already looking forward to that. What is it right now? What month are we in?
February.
January, February.
Yeah.
And I'm already excited about that. Um, just those are all pretty simple things, and nothing else brings us more joy than just hanging out together, building a life, making memories at an accelerated rate, and being really present for it. I think I do a great job of being really present for everything. It's very rare that I'm off somewhere else in my head. It's very rare that I'm living in the future or the past. Um, I don't think I can tell you where it came from. I don't remember waking up one day and saying, "Oh, I'm going to work on being present." But it's something that I do really well. And that brings great joy when you can just be right here, right now, and squeeze the juice out of it.
I love that. Well, I am so grateful to have you here and the conversation that we've had together. I think there is so many takeaway nuggets for anyone and everyone listening. And I'm grateful for you as a leader and all of the transformative impact that you've instilled in my life and Matt's life and our business. And most of all, I'm grateful to have you as a friend.
Well, let me tell you, the best gift that we've gotten out of this is getting you guys as friends. I can't wait for all the fun memories we're making and the things that we're building and everything else together. So the feeling is mutual.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for listening. If you loved this episode, it would mean the world to me if you took 30 seconds and shared this on social media, send it to a friend, or leave a 5-star review. There is power in community, and I am so grateful to have you part of mine.